Alright, hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Comic Book Radio. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti. This is episode 60, and tonight my guest is Von KLAUS, and we're going to be talking about, as you can see from my name tonight, Paranormal Pete. We're talking about a bunch of different things, paranormal and otherwise, but that's the relative theme of the show tonight. He's also got a great book out. It's in demand right now on Indiegogo called Terror in the Trenches. Go check that out if you haven't already. Before we get started and bring out Vaughn, I want to say hi to you guys. We got Bear in the chat. It says, hey guys, hey yeah, Pete, got my order today. Thanks for the speedy delivery. What'd you get? And you're welcome, and thank you very much. Spicer says, what's up? And says that there's always super speedy delivery. As long as I'm not buried underneath campaign fulfillment, there absolutely is. Usually goes out either the same day or the next day. Just love it. Thanks for putting together another interview, Pete. And keep kicking ass. Appreciate that, Spicer. And Bear says lives in Canada, and the thing got there. Wow, in 2 days. Holy smokes, that's fast. Reading the first 2 issues of King Cryptid, and you love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, man. Ara, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us tonight. Blue Teddy Narrations is here. Hey, Blue Teddy. Hope you're doing well. We got Manny in the chat, too. Thanks for joining us. We got Citizen Ronan. What's up? Thanks for spending some time with us tonight. And Pete, I can't see what the emoji is. But thank you either way. Thanks for being here. Bear says, first 4 issues of King Cryptid and Blood Realm. Good picks. Can't go wrong. Cole, what's up, Cole? Says, hey, Pete, got my latest alternate package this week. Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, man, like 100-something packages went out earlier this week, so you guys hopefully should be getting them very, very soon. I'm glad to see that they're arriving faster than I thought they'd be. King Leek, what's up? Hope you're doing well. All right. Without further ado, let's bring on the man of the hour. I'm looking forward to having this discussion. We've had these discussions relatively twice, I believe, before. But this is going to be another fun one. So here we go. Here is Von KLAUS. What's up, Vaughn?
Hey, Pete. Good to see you, man. It's been a while. I missed it.
Good to see you, too. Yeah, man.
Our paranormal times together.
I can't believe it's been almost a year.
Can
you believe
fast?
that?
Yeah. That was a while back then. Okay.
It was like either last September or last October.
Damn. Halloween time, the best time.
Crazy though.
Yeah, and I just recently helped set up a 12-foot skeleton and officially started our like spooky season. And then what happens? I get to go hang out with you. It's all making sense now. It's begun.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad it's making sense because I tell you, Mercury's in retrograde and I'm feeling it, man.
Oh no, bro.
Things are weird, man. The past couple of days,
it's upside down.
Oh yeah, there's like things that even this show. I go to start the show today, the light doesn't even want to go on. I've got another light that I use for the show, but the light for the room, I go to turn, it doesn't even work. It worked like 3 hours ago. It's been like weird little things like that, and it always happens around Mercury retrograde. I swear.
Okay, that's okay. I've never noticed that.
Yeah,
I've noticed everything's weird and upside down lately.
yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff just happening in general, within the world, usually around Mercury retrograde time, like stuff that just seems cartoonish. It's so weird. This one, man, it's been kind of crazy, and it's not going to end till around almost the new moon. I think the day before the new moon of September. So like September 14th or 15th, around there. And so if you guys are experiencing any weirdness in your lives right now, things that are like, this is, especially devices that don't seem to work the way they usually do, miscommunications between people, you find you're saying something and someone's taking it the wrong way, or you just feel discombobulated in general. I always find it's around this time. It's very weird. Very weird. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to talking to you tonight because I got a chance to read through about half of the book of Terror in the Trenches. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you.
And it's still in demand, so everybody go check that out in case you haven't. And then also, I just want to let you guys know, I also have the secret perk link here for my own campaign to pick up this 5 minutes for art book. I've got a bunch of different portrait stuff in it from this was years ago. I still have a bunch of them, and I will do a 5-minute portrait of whatever character you want on the inside of the book. That's a secret perk
That is
just during the course of
awesome.
it. Yeah. I didn't think I had a bunch, but I found a box in storage the other day, and I figured, put it on there.
I admit to having a crush on your little sketches you do. I think they're raddest. I've seen you do like even Marvel characters that look better than what any artist at Marvel right now can do, just on a 5-minute.
Thank you, man.
To hear that you're collecting it, I think I'm gonna have to pick one up.
Yeah, I did this. I did this years ago. What happened was this whole thing was compiled through like Kickstarter, like 2015 or something, and the book was put out like 2016 or so.
Yeah.
And everyone got, and I might do this again in the future. Everyone got a 5-minute sketch card, a portrait of whatever they wanted, and a lot of people even wanted like their pets, their relatives, whatever.
Right.
And some people wanted like a Johnny
Classic.
Depp,
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow,
Captain Sparrow.
Yeah, but then like some cool stuff too, like Optimus Prime,
I love
the Baltimore Orioles mascot.
Looking shady.
Yeah. Here's a fun Jonah Hex.
Oh, that's a cool one.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff in here that was like that, and I only made a small batch, maybe a couple of hundred or so, and everyone that got a sketch card got one of these. And on this, I'm offering that I'll do a sketch in the front. Like here's a Joker right there, and
This is rad.
the craziest, I love doing this one. This was like Julie Newmar, Catwoman.
Yeah.
But
I
then
like
where is it? It was crazy.
Cheekbones,
I had to draw like
baby.
yeah, and then like someone's grandma.
Yeah.
So it was it's
You
all
really
over the
do
place.
it though. I love how you have a gift for caricature though. Like you really nail all the characters in that small space with those little portraits. Like it's just cool.
Thank you, man.
Cool,
Yeah,
so.
thanks. Let's see. Blue Teddy says, does Vaughn wear sunglasses for the same reason Pete does? Okay, so I wear sunglasses because staring in front of the computer all day gives me crazy headaches.
Yeah, that's what happens to me. I started wearing sunglasses and I started feeling better.
Yeah. And a lot of people probably think it's because we look so cool or we want to look cool or something, and it's like the dorkiest reason ever.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you're 8 years old, you're cool when you put on sunglasses.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But we're not cool anymore, guys. It's over. We don't even try. We don't care. It's over.
like
we're through. We're done.
Old man eyes.
Yeah, this is like if my eyes are pink and dry from staring at screens all day and working, and I don't want you to have to deal with that. So I'm going to spare you with this censorship.
Exactly.
Censorship.
Because before I started doing it, I started getting like migraines for like really bad ones for like 1 or 2 days, and then I'd have to have like the big cataract sunglasses on for the whole day or so, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm like, maybe if I wear sunglasses, because these are prescription, I can't see otherwise. And I was like, maybe if I wear prescription sunglasses as I do the show, I can actually not get the migraine and not go through hell and have a vicious headache. And lo and behold, it works. I've tried the blue light thing. I need it stronger. I need something that actually like dims it out.
Here's my blue light glasses that didn't work for me either. My buddy Holly's. I was just like, no, man, I need the full UV package.
Yeah.
I need the shielding.
Yeah,
because
human eyes aren't
tried.
meant for this crap.
Yeah, I know. I tried. I was like waking up with dry, crusty eyes of death, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Oh man, man! I'm loving the hair. I'm loving the hair too. And King Leak brings it up. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Looking sweet.
I mean, I feel like we're living in they live times, so I might as well, put out the vibe.
Absolutely. Oh man. All right. Yeah. So, thank you, Brian. Yes, because Brian got one last year on the campaign. Says was really happy with the sketch you put in. Yeah, it's $25. Shipping is free in the U.S. It's $15 in Canada, $25 worldwide. If you guys do want to get one of those books, but I'll have that link up every day until I sell out of the 50 or so I got to definitely comb through and see the exact amount that I have in the storage. I might have a little more,
I should just wear
but
these.
I've got those too.
You've got
It's
these.
it's just I thought I could have made them work with regular glasses, and I can't. So
It's cool when your logo reflects in them.
yeah,
It's
I
like
see
I'm
that.
doing ads for
That's
you guys.
great.
Little stream online ads for you guys. Woo! Comic book radio. That's awesome. Awesome.
That's
I
freaking
feel like
awesome.
Max Headroom right now.
Oh my lord,
Anyway,
man.
yeah, my censorship eyes.
Yeah. I thought I could have made those work, and no,
Yeah.
I have terrible vision, so I need to have
Right.
these things on
Get that
with the
prescription magic.
Yeah.
Definitely. I get
Yeah.
you.
But Spicer says, "Are you gonna sell all those? Oh, those are gone. No, those are all gone.
Those are
All the sketches that
personalized.
are in here,
Yeah.
yeah, they were for everybody gone years ago. And the sketches that I'm doing in like for everybody in their own book, I'm not compiling those and putting those together. Those are just for you guys. But anyway, so about your book, with you've got fear. Fear is such a predominant theme in the book, and as you go through the course of it, in telling that story, it really started making me think about how much fear can alter your perception of everything. Right.
Yes.
So once fear kicks in, stress kicks in, all of a sudden, things are way worse. Friends are now foes. Paranoia kicks in as well, and it really does. It alters the world around you. Was that something that when you were crafting that story, were you looking up how that really can kind of psychologically hit people?
Yeah, I was. I saw when I work on stuff, Pete, I look at it as a really fun opportunity to experience humanity and life. And I was like, this is my time to learn about fear, like in ways that I never thought about it before. Like get deep with it, get dark, get yourself scared by it, right? So like I'm looking up the power of fear, and you know what I realized? Fear is probably one of the most powerful powers that we don't think about or talk about or see used. And our own
Absolutely.
lives, I believe, were put on lockdown by fear when they did the, COVID stuff. So we got a taste of what fear can do to our lives, to our society. And now we're looking back on it and learning like it was all unfounded. So we were that scared and doing all those things, and people were bleaching their coffee before they were drinking it and stuff. And now look at us. Like, are we any better? Is anything safer? We were just living in a world of hysteria. Hysteria from my research, has led to some of the most interesting, crazy things in human history. In 1970s England, you might already know about this with all your paranormal knowledge, Pete. A bunch of teenagers were running around an old cemetery in England, in some small town in England, thinking there really was a vampire there.
Oh
And
yeah, yep.
that was pure hysteria. Of course, there wasn't one, but the town believed there was. Some psychic came in and amped the hysteria up, and the newspapers kept putting out all these articles about witchcraft and Satan worship and vampires. And before you know it, teenagers are running around an old cemetery with stakes, thinking they're going to kill a vampire. Like, that's crazy. That's fear. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is fear is it's interesting because it's a motivator. It's a tool that can be used to survive. And yeah, Barry, yeah, exactly. It's a survival mechanism. That's why it's something that is important, obviously, to us, but at the same time, because of its importance, because it's such a base emotion, the people that are out there that know to tap into that and amp it up to a certain degree, oh man, can they really, they can manipulate you to a point that you're not even aware you're manipulated.
Exactly.
Make you think you're doing things that you want to do. Meanwhile, no, you don't want to actually do that. They're convincing you, but you're not even aware of it.
Exactly. Knowing exactly which buttons to push in our kind of evolved apparatuses for survival. I loved it. By the end of writing Terror in the Trenches, I felt like I'd really learned a little bit more about fear and grew to respect it more rather than be afraid of it. It's more like, no, like, you can feel fear. It's how you overcome it that matters. It's
Yeah.
And Black Terror throughout we get to show how he makes all these different characters fear him in different ways, and you get to see how people react to fear in different ways, and I thought that was fun to play with too. Reactions to fear, who holds up, who wants to fight, who wants to run, things like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
No,
cool.
it's really obvious reading the book. You did a lot of research into the reactions of that and how it alters states of consciousness, and especially once you're kicking in the serum that he's using, that's really just heightening it to an unbelievable level. It reminded me of a lot of things that I heard about a lot of different psychedelic drugs, DMT, ayahuasca, that kind of a thing, in terms of that altered state of consciousness, where you almost start to see things, and many people see the same thing apparently, which is interesting. But you start to see things that are almost as if they're reflections within your own state of being, and it reminded me a lot of that within your book, where they're seeing these things occur or these things come to life or whatever. It's like their worst fears being brought to life as a result of what they're inhaling from
Yeah,
black terror.
yeah. It's I started to feel like the fear toxin that gives him his power needed to poison him too, but it needs to be like a drug. And so yeah, like psychedelics and altered states of being. I mean, it needed to be more than just he's a superhero and he inhales the gas and he's strong and durable. It needed to be like he's poisoning himself to get these results a bit. It makes him, it messes with his life. How are you supposed to come home to kids who see you as, the worst thing ever? So you have to cut out the gas, but he likes the gas because it gives him power. So there's an addiction
Yeah, he gets
element
hooked
to
on
it.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Michael says fear of losing job led to rolling stress, which led to a stroke. And wow, you man. Well, I hope everything's going better for you. But man, holy
Yeah, me
smokes,
too.
yeah, I hope everything's going better for you. But yeah,
Fear's powerful.
it absolutely is, especially once it starts hitting on those stress mechanisms, and it can mess up your entire state of being. It could kill you, for crying out loud. So that's why tonight, when we're talking about this stuff, I really want to start also diving deep into it's almost it's like a healthy skeptic conversation tonight. I want to have a conversation based on, are people in such a state of fear that they believe they're seeing certain things, or are they really seeing certain things? And
Hmm.
it, and the thing that, so when it comes to cryptids, now cryptids for me, I love the idea of cryptids. I do believe that there are things out there, obviously, that we're not aware of. That's just provable.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I tend to believe the stories of people more than I believe the evidence, right? More than I believe the video or the photo. And the reason I believe the story usually, and not everyone's obviously, some of them it's like, oh, okay. The reason I tend to believe the stories more than seeing any kind of conclusive sort of proof. Conclusive
Yeah,
nowadays is so,
blurry photo.
yeah, is because of the fact that it's it's stuff being described across the world for such a long period of time, that all relatively is discussing and talking about the same kinds of things. And I know some people will think, well, they're all talking about the same thing, and they all, it's because they heard the story somewhere and they're repeating it and whatever else it may be. And some people definitely, I think they're out for attention. But some people, I
Oh yeah.
really think they're seeing something out there. But I don't know if fear is manifesting this state of mind. I don't know if it's fear that is making them do or report the things that they're talking about. But I would think that the fear of being persecuted for having these stories and speaking them out loud, because you sound like a crazy person when you say it, I would think that would override the fear of seeing a cryptid, and or the want to get fame and attention from it. So that's why I kind of tend to believe people's stories with it. The photos and the videos and whatnot, I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a coincidence to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Some of them, they do capture things where I'm like, I don't know, that you could still be the right place at the right time, and you caught something that seems to be difficult to categorize. But what's your take on it? Do you think people are seeing something legitimate, or do you think that the imagination's running wild?
I do find that I've always thought about why the Bigfoot sightings keep happening and why we can't find them, why we can't find them, why we can't find them. And my mind goes to see a bear, get scared, see it as something different than it really is, reported as Bigfoot. That doesn't mean that's happening every time. It doesn't mean they're not seeing something that looks a lot like frickin' Bigfoot to them, because they probably are seeing that. So you know what I mean? I don't think it's just their minds playing tricks. I think there's something primal in us when it comes to our fear, where it's that release of chemicals and fight or flight. I swear, your memory of it is so blurry, Anyway, so I do try to trust what they say. They saw something for sure. How much of it was like fear and they just misidentified something? That seems to be something that can happen a lot, I believe. I think fear has so much more power, that, like I said, than we give it credit for. And I mean, fear of them being a crazy person, that's kind of interesting to me, though, because it's so popular to have a sighting now. Isn't it?
Yeah.
When I drive around Oklahoma, I don't know if this is like you have this where you're from, but people have Sasquatch stickers all over their car. It's like this icon of like people who go Sasquatching around Oklahoma looking for them,
Yeah, it's like a badge of honor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I want to be on an episode of Ancient Aliens with all the guys with the weird hair, Let's do it. But it's so but when you and I were growing up as kids, though, when you had a sighting, you were crazy, though. It's flipped, like I said, upside down.
Yeah. That's why, especially the first couple of them that are legitimate, or the ones even from a time period where they were just reporting stories and there wasn't any way to get photographs or video.
Right.
And they certainly were put through the ringer for them. It makes me think how many people over the course of history have seen things and then just kind of kept it hush. Because nowadays it really is like, we all have phones with cameras and it's everywhere. And which brings me to something else, is that I'm actually I'm gonna have on the show in October Dr. Simeon Hine on the show, and he's a cryptid specialist. He's
awesome.
He's got a great insight into this stuff. He's done a lot of research. Has written a bunch of books about all kinds of various subjects, dark matter, everything else.
Dark matter's cool.
He's just really interesting to listen to, and has a lot of great insight into the subject. And I want to pick his brain about a couple of things, because we can speculate all day long, but it's different when you're pretty much doing that day in and day out. Like, we're living in worlds of fiction day in and day out as storytellers, so it's easy for us to kind of surmise certain things and invent other things and fill in the gaps and then say, poof, here we go, there's a story. But when you're doing actual interesting things in terms of research, and you've talked to so many people and you've done investigations yourself, it's a different experience. So I'm looking forward to having him on the show in October. But as far as this stuff goes with cryptids, have you guys in the chat, have you guys ever seen anything that you weren't quite sure of? Have you seen anything as well in terms of anything paranormal, whether it was a ghost, whether it was aliens, whatever? Vaughn, I don't know if we talked about this last year, but have you ever seen anything? Have you ever had an experience at all about anything that you were unsure of?
I wish. I haven't had a ghost. I haven't had El Chupacabra. I haven't had anything fun or bizarre, unexplainable ghost thing. I've had my mom tell me some stories of things that happened to her after we moved into a new house. I remember she remembers laying on a couch. We were still moving in. No one was around, and she was kind of starting to doze off, but then the force started to push her into the couch, and before she knew it, she couldn't breathe. She was sinking into the cushion from something pushing really hard down on her, and she felt like she was helpless, that she might die. it stopped. She like breathed again. she was kind of freaked, and she was really freaked out for a while from that. And like she has a few little ghost stories that are great. And I love ghost stories more than anything, but I mean, I haven't had anything that, haunted me or messed with me too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really skeptical though.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard things that I can't quite say what the hell they were. I've as far as seeing cryptids, I haven't seen anything, but I also am not really out, trying to find anything.
Yeah.
And then the footprint thing is always kind of that's a bit that's always a bit difficult for me to buy into the footprint thing, because it's so easy to kind of forge one.
Yeah.
And then there's the thing of, and then there's all the theories too, that they could teleport, they're interdimensional, whatever it may be.
Shadow hoppers.
And that's why there's like the footprints that just go nowhere, But it could also be they just go nowhere because they only needed a couple of footprints to have a story.
Right.
So it's like I said, it's tough. I tend to believe, or want to believe anyway, the stories more than any of the visible shown proof. But when it comes to things going around with aliens right now, are you following any of the stuff at all that's happening with this government, like UAP reports and David Grush and everything else that's happening?
Not in detail. I've followed it enough to know they said our government has alien material of a biological in nature. Am I correct on that? And no one cares.
Like
everybody just shrugs it off. Non-human, okay. Non-human biological
non-human intelligence.
Oh, okay. Consciousness from another
non-human intelligence is that's the thing too, is so they're saying they have craft that was created by a non-human intelligence.
Okay.
So the thing is that what is being reported is it's basically a game of, I heard that this person has said this, and this is where the stuff is. Now, of course, by the time they go and look for where the stuff is, that stuff is going to be gone.
It's not there.
If it's there. So that's what always makes this stuff kind of difficult. And the part that always drives me up the wall with this sort of thing is because, for the most part, I mean, everything that they had talked about during the recent congressional hearing, it's like anyone that's been following any of this for like 60 years is like, snooze fest, knew it all already. Heard it.
Been there, done that. Heard it.
Yeah.
Checked the hangar myself with my friends.
And when and now some of the congressional reps were asking decent questions, and especially pertaining it to the fact that what's going on exactly in terms of why have we not been notified, and how is this disappearing down a deep, dark, black hole in the budget of the defense. But of course, it's kind of, Grush is like, I can't talk about that publicly. I'm still under NDA. And I'm like, man, what kind of whistleblower are you?
Yeah.
Talk about that publicly. Why are you here?
Don't even blow the whistle.
Yeah. And they had a couple other people on there, 2 other people on there talking about the Tic Tac from 2004, I believe. That allegedly it's not extraterrestrial. It's human.
Okay.
But they weren't talking about it as such. But there's been a lot of reports over the years that state that it's not extraterrestrial, that it's our military intelligence, a Lockheed Martin craft, doing things that don't seem possible, and it's either being manned by artificial intelligence in some way, shape, or form, almost like a drone, or that it's actually being manned by a human being and being piloted, and it's using the electromagnetic field of the Earth to buzz around, and it's creating kind of like a pocket around it that's enabling it to do certain things because it's quiet apparently, and it's going at super speeds that are like you would get crushed by the G-forces.
Right.
So it's strange. It's strange to see what is being reported. But what I found was more troubling was the fact that a lot of the members in Congress were saying the quiet parts out loud. You know, doing that
Right.
part where they're like, "So, does this mean that there's misappropriation of funds being used for these projects?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah." David Grush is like, "Yeah, it does." And they're like, "Okay," and it's kind of like. It's like a big it's this big public secret of like, yeah, they misappropriate billions, if not trillions of dollars for a lot of this stuff.
For our quiet little tic tac.
Yeah, to create
tic tac.
yeah, to create Lord knows what under the guise of Lord knows what. And what I find is very interesting is if you remember, and we go back to, we were talking earlier about the response to the pandemic. If you remember, there were two things that were going down right before the pandemic was announced as this big worldwide stay inside, right?
Right.
So you had the Hong Kong protests for freedom that were going on. And then you had a constant weird push for disclosure among alien intelligence. You had people that wanted to storm Area 51.
I remember that.
Yeah. You know, so what if, because what if, and we're going to go down a couple of rabbit holes tonight with this stuff.
Right.
What if a lot of that was a response to shut the whole world down because they pushed the panic button? Because they already pushed the panic button once, and it seems like they did that for 9/11. Because if you recall, around May 2001, a couple months before 9/11, there was a big conference held that pretty much exposed how much money was going towards black budget projects in the Defense Department. And then the day literally before 9/11, Rumsfeld talks about like $2 trillion or something that they can't account for. And then the next day, 9/11 happens. And so in like May 2001, this conference was being pushed that was basically saying that they were developing all this stuff because they were reverse engineering alien craft that had crashed years ago. And they were creating a lot of different things and utilizing a lot of technologies that weren't being made known to the public.
Damn.
And it's technology that would change the face of the earth.
Right.
You know, in terms of energy consumption, in terms of, you know, it's like anti-grav and like 0 point energy, and it's clean, and it harnesses the power of the earth essentially, and quantum states and all this other stuff that would make, you know, we would just be using oil only for plastic.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't be burning that anymore for fuel. That's antiquated, you know, obsolete for an energy source. And then like 9/11 happens the next day. So like the months towards the build-up, which pushed that whole thing to come out publicly about those trillions of dollars being unaccounted for. And then that's a little weird. That's a little weird.
Definitely. Oh my God. Well, yeah, we've got the panic buttons being pushed, that's for sure.
And now, we're seeing it again.
Yeah.
With disclosure being raised toward, and then what happens? Talks of lockdowns.
They're talking about locking down again. They're talking about masks again. Something that they've proved don't really work. It's great. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. The closer we are to unraveling this corrupt system, the more it's gonna like push buttons
and it's got next to
itself. Yeah,
and it's got next to nothing to do about proving that the aliens. It's like it's the red herring. You know, you ever see Clue in the like communism is a red herring, socialism is a red herring. Right. So the aliens is a red herring. It's almost because it's kind of a given. Like we're not necessarily the only things ever to exist in the entire cosmos. And if a civilization is even maybe 1,000 years ahead of us technologically, there's a chance that they probably can get here, and we can't wrap our minds around it just yet.
Yes,
or maybe we can.
Or maybe we're using it now. Lockheed Martin can or something.
Yeah. And there's inarguable proof that we've had ancient advanced civilizations on this planet that far surpass what we would actually consider the timeline for those things to have existed even like 20 years ago.
We're seeing a lot more evidence for that now.
Yeah.
Something that it's kind of interesting to me is it's we keep getting told that we're not ready to find out that aliens exist, and that's why they hide it. And I just don't think that's what they really believe, and I don't think that's what's happening. I think they don't want potential other governments to know we have good shit. They don't want them to know about the tech that we have that is unique to all others tech, and so they protect it, which makes sense. From a military standpoint and protecting ourselves and our weaponry. I mean,
Totally.
I understand, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's so funny that aliens is like, they exist, people, and it's just collective shrug. We know, we've seen the shows. Like, what else have you got? So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's been soft disclosure through entertainment for decades to kind of soften the blow of the eventual, because there probably was a time that if they just came out and announced it, like in the 50s or something, right after World War II, and they were like, yeah, so this whole war we just had was essentially because we this is a proxy war for aliens being here, and bad people were getting their technology and they were going to do bad things with it, and we had to have I mean, imagine that, because holy crap, like there has to be also an explanation for even the Nazis being so technologically advanced out of nowhere.
They're genius. Their little dream team of geniuses. Yeah, making rockets, making missiles that can hit stuff in Paris.
Yeah, and then we
France.
take their space program with Operation Paperclip.
Yeah,
and so
stole it.
Yeah, and that whole thing that starts going down, and it's that push towards technology that really just goes through the roof once you get the Roswell crash, because that's 47. So once 47 hits, technology is just exponential through the roof in terms of the advancement of it. It's like it's like comparing going from the Stone Age to modern times in just this compressed just decades. Seeing people in pictures from like the late 1800s, and then you do that, it's a 60-year time gap between the Civil War to Roswell, and then you do Roswell 60 years later, 2007, you'd think you were on a different planet altogether.
Yeah.
But 1880s to 1820s look the same. 1820s to the 1760s, very
it's industrial,
small. Yeah.
But it's,
Yeah.
It's industrial, though. I see what you're saying. I remember in the 80s, there was this technological boom of like, video games and arcades and fucking computers and the internet just starting up. All of that was a pretty cool little blip in the technological advancement too. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And when I think about when I was a kid dreaming of the future and how I take for granted that I have a little tablets that you touch and do all these awesome things with, all these and you could draw with, you do whatever.
Space age.
I edit movies on my phone and sell them like awesome trailers for people's comics, right? And my phone does it better than my desktop does now. Like, it's crazy, the tech that we're getting, and it only gets better, and the AI is only getting more invasive and creepy and better, and the facial recognition stuff creeps me out. It's all getting better and better and better at a rapid rate right now too, and it's kind of freaky to think about where it might go, but it's definitely making how we create. It's going to change a lot of things, but it won't change the fact that people still need to tell good stories that people could resonate with. That's what's cool. Like, it doesn't matter what the tools are,
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of this tech that seems like it comes out of nowhere, and it's hyper advanced. I think we're seeing a lot of that. If I had to really be perfectly honest, I think we're seeing a lot of that based off of things that we're learning from other things that have been here.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe that, because if you want to tell me that everything that we have today and all the knowledge we have today is based solely 100% off of what's on Earth and us just coming up with things, all I could think is put a person in a room their whole life. They're not going to know much of anything. You're lucky if they even understand how to speak in some way, shape, or form. People have to be taught. People have to be
That's right.
nurtured. People have to
That's
be,
right.
yeah, you have to be shown. You have to at least learn through observation. So
Yep.
if you're learning through observation, I get the progression, I get the evolution. But that initial spark for something that is unbelievably, incomprehensibly advanced, like what Metatron was just talking about with discrete, microchips and transistors. To even come up with the idea of that, you may use your phone. We may be on the computer right now. We may know how to operate these things.
Yeah.
But how many of us could just create it from scratch?
No. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where genius and brilliance of the human mind comes in. But you're right, though, because historically, and this goes across all cultures, something crazy, a big flood, a cataclysm happened way back when, and we
Yeah.
did lose everything. But there were these people who would come and who retaught agriculture, who retaught who retaught our knowledge of the stars, which was more
Yeah.
advanced than our scientists seem to give credit for these
And
days.
and when
Things
we
like that.
destroyed all their knowledge, we had the Dark
Right.
Ages that
Yep.
looked worse than 2,000 years prior.
Yeah. Yeah. and then we lost. Dude, imagine this. We have lost the recipe for concrete at one point. So, like, there was a point where we had it, and a point where we didn't know how to make it for a little while, which is crazy. That's something we take for granted, use it every day, see it every day, and then we had to discover it again. So that's just one bit of knowledge, and I mean, sometimes it makes me wonder about all the other wonderful bits of knowledge that have been lost over the years. No matter how advanced we think we are with our phones or whatever, and our spaceships, like, there's bits of knowledge and understanding of this world that we have definitely need to rediscover, I would say.
Yeah, and now we're at this point in time where I think they're glossing over, and I think everyone kind of is glossing over the extraterrestrial aspect, whatever it may be, because of the fact that there is money to be made with this technology. There's a lot of money to be made, and if they're not ready yet to produce it in a way in which they can actually monetize it, I don't think they're going to release anything. But I think that's why we're starting to see certain things. I think that's why over the past couple of years we've been seeing even weird pushes that make no sense. There's climate change, there's things happening in the earth. There's always been things happening. Pollution is bad. This is a known, this is a given, but the push has been not to put more nature back. The push has been to embrace further technology.
Right.
And even things like advancements within AI, that to really embrace technology as being it's here to stay. It's going to do wonders for you. It's going to make human life so great. It's going to do all this wonderful stuff. There have been example upon example about how dangerous this crap can be.
Yes.
And yeah,
we've been warned.
Yeah, and not in just making us lazy or whatever that is, but in you talk about national security risk. Like AI, holy smokes! Talk about cyber hacking, all the other stuff involved, all that kind of putting
fakes,
AI, deep fakes. Yeah,
you can use those to make one country think a leader was striking another
false
one.
flagapalooza.
Yeah.
It
could be crazy. It could lead to war. It could lead to it could ruin some celebrities' life. Not that they don't do that on their own, but like it can. That's crazy to think about. Oh,
yeah,
man.
So we're seeing all of that. We're getting to a point, and we've probably been there for a couple decades, where the technology is surpassing our morality. So it's that Jurassic Park question. We're all so busy wondering if we can. We never stop to think if we should.
Yeah.
And this is like for everything lately. Everything. It's just the technology is going too fast. It's evolving far past us.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that with this coinciding with a lot of this weird push, because it is a weird push. It's a weird push for the government to want to get involved with it all of a sudden after decades of saying, nope, this doesn't exist. None of this stuff has ever happened.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Weather balloons, swamp gas, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
You know, even though they've dedicated a whole lot of money and resources to finding out about these topics.
they have.
You know, so and the recent UAP task force that they had, it was like over 100 incidences that they couldn't figure out, and they only could figure out one. They could only figure out that one was a man-made thing, and it was 100 something that they couldn't figure out that this was definitely, it wasn't a man-made thing, but we don't know what the hell it is,
Right.
and they can't go into detail about that. It's it's strange. It's strange to push for it. I wonder if they're going to set up anything. And I know they tried to paint Reagan as if he was losing his mind when he said it. But remember, you ever see that speech with Reagan where he's talking about aliens and the world
Yeah.
uniting?
What if a like an extraterrestrial threat from another world came? Would we unite to fight it? Type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I remember that. I thought it was a great point. I didn't really think he was crazy, but yeah, they made him look crazy because he's talking about aliens. He's wacky. Uh, maybe we are
But you get the simulation theory. That's a whole other level.
glitch.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is that now we have a president who's clearly, I'll be kind and say that his mental faculties aren't there.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah.
like him, hate him, I don't give a crap. It's
Yeah.
so clear. It's so clear. Looking at then what Reagan, who was supposed to be early onset dementia at that point, early onset Alzheimer's, and you're like, this guy looks like he's sharp as a tack compared to what we currently have, and they're saying this dude's fine.
Yeah. Upside down town. This is the world we live in. I swear.
Yeah.
It's so popular to like get into how weird everything is that I dated a girl who was like really, well, I will not do this again, but she was really into trends. She revealed to me. She was like, I'm into trends, but she was also into like all the UFO stuff and all the ghost stuff. We would have to go ghost hunting all the time, which I was cool with. Like, I thought it was fun, you know? I love doing stuff like that. But it's, I don't know. It's when someone who's that into trends is like, let's go on a ghost adventure. Like, these are the times we live in. I swear, it's like we had the more religious times. And now, as I guess we gravitate away from those times, that spiritual core, people look for it in other ways.
In other ways, yeah.
You know?
Because it's all trying to figure out the metaphysical, you know?
Yeah. Where do we go after we die, you know? And are there ghosts? Let's go looking. I mean, that's become so popular. It's like every TV show. It's like a lot of YouTube channels. And then paranormal stuff. Yeah, you get into it, you know?
Yeah, trying to explain the seemingly unexplainable. Even us as storytellers, you know, we're constantly playing in the sandbox of trying to explain the unexplainable, so much so that we invent it to try to explain it.
Yeah, good point. I like that. Yeah, we invent it to explain it, to show you the unexplainable from behind the curtain. We have to invent some cool, crazy things. It's true. And then what do we get out of it in the end after writing it? What have we learned about the unexplainable, you know, if anything?
Yeah.
Hopefully something.
Like we're creating a simulation every single story we make, you know? And and the whole point of it is testing out these ideas. And some of us are testing out ideas that are you can take them past the metaphorical nature and say that you're testing out an idea in terms of how would that play out with this kind of person against this kind of person with this kind of situation. You know, every single thing is us playing the game of how would this go down, and the best writers do it in such a brilliantly logical but still fantastical way that it becomes really engrossing and you get into it and the emotion is real and it makes sense. Even it doesn't matter how fantastical it could be, it's done so well that it feels real. You know, and that is interesting, and that is another part of something that is so unique to being a human being as far as we know. But again, like I can't look at stuff from ancient times anymore when people talk about myths and legends and just discount them as stories and imagination. There's too much detail. There's too much you can't tell me there's primitive people who, they're not capable of anything even remotely close to the technology that we could use and be aware of. But yet, meanwhile, the unbelievable detail that they could tell within their stories and their myths is just all imagination. It's just all made up.
It's there's a reason these stories are still told today, and some stories go on forever. There's a reason they resonate with something within us. I don't know how the writers achieved it. We probably don't even know that. We'll never know the writers' names. They just created this thing that got passed around and remixed by the DJs of humanity.
Yeah. And everyone was like,
Yeah.
this is real. Because that's the thing. They weren't like, this is a
Right.
myth. They were like, this is
Right.
real. This
Right.
matters.
This matters.
And yeah. And we're going to dedicate our lives to it for Lord knows how long. It like you were talking about, we might have moved away in certain aspects from certain things, but we're still just as close to the spirituality, the metaphysical, the something that's beyond us, the higher consciousness that's beyond us.
You can't escape it because you're part of it. You're the same consciousness broken up of the experiencing itself, and then getting to commentate on it and appreciate it. And I love that. I love people, and I love doing stories for people because of that. I feel like through doing my stories, I learn more about people and humanity every time. Everyone's a different lesson for me. And it brings me closer to my own metaphysical, I guess, connection with the world and the people in it, while still not even having to leave my house a lot of time. That's the writer's dream, isn't it? So it's awesome. People will always have a spiritual need to fulfill, like a hole to fill, and they will look in the craziest places. They'll be in cults. They'll become an environmentalist. They'll become, who knows what, and they will go on a crazy adventure and hopefully discover something true along the way that leads them to where they need to be. It's different for everyone, but I think once you find those truths and you put it into your work. What did John Lennon say? He said, just say what you really think and put a backbeat to it, and you'll have a good song. That's it. And it's like, what you say what you really mean, man. Say what you really think, and it will resonate, because it's when truth, people are smarter than people give them credit for. And I know we live in this. I also feel like we live in a world now where everything's more of a trick than ever. Every product I look at when I'm at the grocery store is trying to fake me out. Everything's trying to fake me out. And it's like, now we need the truth more than ever. Like it will resonate with people. People are not stupid. They will recognize when something's full of shit. So
and the truth is beauty.
Yes.
And beauty is the truth. And so when people see that,
it's uncomfortable.
When people see that, it speaks to them, and they know that, yep, what I'm hearing right now, that's the truth. Yeah. And so you could be the greatest storyteller in the world and spinning lie after lie after lie, but the more you're around and everything, people will eventually go, something about this doesn't really add up, And that's the thing that I think is so important with a lot of the stories that we're seeing nowadays, is that and the reaction to them. I think people are starting to go, this isn't adding up. This doesn't feel right. It kind of is like that what is that? The Man Who Has Everything story with Superman. When he gets the I forget the name of that thing. Is it the Black Mercy, I think it's called? And he gets that, and he sucked into his state of mind. It's that Alan Moore story. And he's sucked into his state of mind that's like this fantasy world giving him everything he wants, in terms of, what's his deepest desire.
Everything he's ever wanted.
And he'll just be stuck in that state forever. And
with that alien on his chest?
Yeah. And it's like...
Batman has to figure out how to get it off with Wonder Woman or whatever.
Yeah. And in the... because in the comic, Robin's there too. And it's a great story. And what happens is of course, eventually it's like, it just doesn't ring true. Like his his subconscious basically understands that
His intuition.
this is off. Something
Yeah.
is wrong, and the whole world starts to fall apart, and that's how he breaks through.
Right.
But it's like that kind of thing with a lot of this that we're seeing. We're seeing this sort of facade, and the more that we're pushed towards the facade, the more there's people that are acting out against it. And in response to that, you're supposed to then treat those people like lunatics. You're supposed to treat those people, in a way,
Outcasts.
and ostracize them and reputation ruining and everything else, because it doesn't come from the top necessarily. Everything that the top does is by proxy through everybody else. So it's a peer pressure scenario. And it's crazy to think about peer pressure affecting adults, because it's usually a concept talked about with kids and teenagers, because everyone as an adult thinks that I'm not susceptible to peer pressure. I know exactly who I am. But we've seen in the past couple of years, especially, holy crap, adults are generally more perceptible to it than anybody else.
They couldn't wait to go along. That explains a lot of the COVID stuff. The big people up top couldn't have mandated stuff unless a lot of people below them, a lot of layers of power below them went along with it too, and helped implement it. And went along, just that they totally succumbed to it. It was amazing, man. The human need, or like, I guess, survival instinct to be part of the group and not be outcast is so strong too. I see it every day.
Want to fit in, and
or even just back in the day, if you weren't part of the tribe, you didn't eat. You died in the wilderness. You know what I mean? You were alone against the wolves or whatever. So it's like deep within us. But nowadays, you can just be like, screw you guys. I'm not hanging out with you. Bye. I'm not gonna. But the wolves.
Well, and now, if anything, too, it's like it's a whole different thing, because the concept's now even turned on its head. Because no matter how you feel about anything, as long as you speak it, as long as you say it, you'll find other people who feel the same way.
Right.
So as long as you're being genuine about it, that's why don't waste time about being fake. We don't live in a day and age anymore where people should feel the need to be fake. Because now more than ever, be genuine. Live your life in a genuine way. Say how you feel and what you believe, and say what you think. And you're going to find similar people. And you're going to lose those, of course, that you might have thought that, they were here and they, liked me for me. But it's like you were never really you. So they never really did like you for you, because you were never really being you.
Why burden yourself by being a performance artist? For a lot of people, you probably don't even really like that much in the first place. People respect truth. People respond to truth. Truth in an era of lies and deception is the most punk rock, like, rebellious thing you can do. And it's also just the right thing to do. I'm so sick of living in a world where it's like I feel like I'm the only one trying to do the right thing, and everyone else is being, not everyone, but you know what I mean? You just feel like, why does everyone think it's all about lying and trickery, when really, if you just tell the truth, you can get way further with people? It's just crazy.
Yeah. And it's like that with everything. Everything. Man, oh man. And Lady Ribbit, 100%. People are starving for real connections with real people. You know, and that's the thing, is that all of this, the whole facade of this, the show, whatever you want to call it. And I don't mean necessarily this show specifically, but all of that is designed to make you think this is what you want. This is the thing that'll make you whole. This is that's like advertising 101, especially when you're talking about the cosmetics industry.
Oh yeah.
Or
have you noticed that they come for men? That they're coming for us now.
Yeah.
In the marketing. They want us.
And I'm like, everyone on these things already looks like a freak. And the thing that's great, right? So and you'll hit late at night. You have the cosmetic commercial, and then the next commercial to come is someone who's got this horrible skin disease.
Yeah.
And all the medicine that they should be on.
Yeah.
That will give them a list of side effects. Yeah. That will then have them take all this other medicine that shuts down their immune system.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, so you just got this 1-2 punch that stressed you out and shot up your stress hormone levels, so that now you're in a state of panic.
Right.
And anyone
from that.
Yeah, and anyone who's susceptible to any of that is going to feel like I have to go and do something about this. And then what happens? Now your skin looks worse because you're putting so much product on you. You're clogging your pores, you're disrupting your natural balance. When usually it's a result of certain things that you're eating, a certain lifestyle that maybe you're doing, and that's what's leading to a certain what's going on. And then you go and you get this medicine that is approved and has all these side effects, and then these things also end up hurting you.
Yeah.
It's
Poison, treating
yeah,
poison with poison.
yeah. The amount of pharmaceuticals out there that shut down your immune system is questionable. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. My brother had a little skin thing. He took something that shut down his immune system. They were like, "Oh, your immune system's attacking your skin up there, or whatever." So we're just gonna I guess, shut it down a little bit. Best of luck. It's just crazy to me to clear up some skin. You shut down the system your body needs to survive. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Wild times, man.
And they won't run like a blood test or anything first
Yeah.
to figure out any deficiencies within your body, your vitamins, etc., whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Straight to the I worked with my mother at a urology place when I was a teenager. I was doing like paperwork over there, just like scanning in documents and whatever. And the stories that I would hear in the back room among the different doctors and nurses and clinicians, I was like, wow, I don't know if I would ever go to any kind of place like this ever again.
What made you think that? What story did you hear?
You get more sincerity from a drug dealer. There's people that are like, oh yeah, just give her whatever. If it goes away, it goes away. If it doesn't, give her something else. I'm like, holy crap.
That's something that shocked me when I was a kid. I seem to remember doctors being like, we think this is what you have, and here's what we use to treat it. Now there seems to be this attitude of like, we have no idea what's going on with you, but here's some like crazy pills that have side effects. Your skin might fall off from them, but let us know how it does. And it's really weird. They go to school for a long time and spend a lot of money, but they don't seem to know what's wrong with anybody.
Yeah, and they're so desensitized. It's like, these are human beings. These are human beings.
I have medical professionals for parents, so they would get home from the medical world, and I could be missing a limb, and they would not give a damn. Yeah, they were numb. They just see it every day.
Yeah.
People die in front of them that they work on all the time. Yeah, it does. I almost went into the medical profession myself, and I decided not to. So, decided that I didn't want to be that numb to life. Just a little.
I agree. Fearsome Bullet says Vaughn's a beast. I wish we got another hour with him. How late can you go tonight?
Let's just roll.
All right,
yeah,
we'll do another half hour, and then we'll check in again at that point. Because I love talking to Vaughn, especially about this stuff.
This is great.
Just riffing and having crazy conversations that make you feel a little less crazy inside.
Exactly.
That's the funny thing about having this. It's cathartic. And this is a safe space. I hate using words like that, but this is a safe space for anybody out there in the chat that wishes to express some of their thoughts as well. Whether you agree or disagree, feel free. So when it comes to stuff like this, and yeah, hell yeah, indeed. Yeah, Vaughn's great. I just want to also point out too, before I forget, Just a Backer said, Just a Backer backed. Let me see. It says, just bought one, backer 1731. Been looking at your Indiegogo page as you speak. Looks awesome. Too bad you had all those printer problems. So there
thanks,
you go.
Just a Backer. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, we got through them, and now I've got plenty of books sitting in my garage being all pretty, so I'll be able to get you that book quick. Thanks for backing, man.
There you go. But yeah, so in regards to that, what really hit me about that was the fact that and I thought it was great at the time until I knew more, and it was one of those things that retroactively I thought about years later, when Big Pharma was ruling with an iron fist over a lot of different things. People would come in, reps would come in and bring you like a beautiful, delicious lunch. anything you could want, and it's like, oh, they talk about the medicine that you should shove down the patient's throat, and this is
Yes.
and they basically bribe you without bribing you. You
Yeah.
know, they'll give you lunch for a week, whatever you want, anything you want. They come in with the greatest stuff, and they're the nicest people, and they got big smiles on and everything else. But as long as you're giving them these medicines, they take care of you. And and all I could think is, and there was one particular patient, and my mom was talking about it because she was so furious after she doesn't work there anymore at all. She left after I think 3 years. I was only there for 1 year, and she was so furious about it when she came home because of how they were mistreating this patient, to the point that this patient obviously was having signs that she was developing cancer from the medicine that was being given.
Jesus.
And the arguments that she was hearing, because she was just kind of up front, she was one of the people that you would just deal with to check in and things like that. And then she would always hear, though, and this one patient in particular was getting irate because she would hear the conversation in the back, and the doctor would be kind of blowing it off as if it was nothing. And you could tell from the conversation, I guess she heard, that they weren't doing blood work, they weren't doing anything, they were dismissing her need to go get an opinion somewhere else. It was crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you right now, the practice isn't there anymore. It's not. It
No
doesn't.
doubt.
They closed down about 6 years ago.
Okay.
But it was one of those things, and thank God for it. But it was one of those things that was so strange to me because it rocked my world at that point in time, because I was so stupid and ignorant as to how that side of it worked. And that they didn't want anything to happen. And what had happened years later, that specific drug was recalled. It was recalled because of literally what was happening to that woman was happening to a bunch of other people too. It was causing cancer. It was giving them bladder cancer.
We are not safe anymore. Our medical people, their oath, do no harm. That shit's out. All right. It's thanks for the free Subway sandwich. I will be sure to push the pills, Daddy Pharma. Like, that's evil shit. When so I have a family member who's a little younger than me, and he's in medicine, and he is able to prescribe medicine for people and he got out of a company recently that he's now I might have to do court things with, because they were very corrupt, and there ended up being kind of a big rebellion of the workers there, because they were kind of pushing that you had to tell everyone that came in that they have ADD and immediately put them on all the hardcore medications for that. And my thanks, Jake. Awesome. My family member was like, I'm not going to just keep pumping everybody full of pills and just keep this business going. These are people. We're here to treat them and help them get what they need. And maybe they don't need a pill, and of course the company liked that, right? So it is a huge problem. It is a huge thing. When I was 21,
war on
holistic
treatment is crazy.
I know, right? Avoid nature at all costs. It might fix you. Might make you feel better. That's crazy. It's evil, man. I don't get it. When you have that much money, are you really that hungry for it still? Jeez.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it'd make organized crime blush.
Yeah, shit. No, more like what a high
five. They're running things.
You guys got the best racket. You guys do it right. You don't even have to pay them. You just give them Subway sandwiches. Right, buy pizza. Oh my God, that's crazy to think. I mean, when I was 21, I was told that I had OCD. I don't have OCD. I was told I had attention deficit. I do have some form of weird brain attention deficit-y shit. I'm sure. I don't care. I like how I roll. You know what I mean? But I was put on Paxil, which I think now is like kind of an unpopular drug, like that you don't want to put people on. They've moved on to a million other new fun drugs. It's like candy, dude. We got this new fun drug. And do you know what Paxil did to me? It made me numb to I felt numb to consequences.
Oh man, you're giving me shivers, man. When I was 16, I was put on Celexa. And I was told, and it was that drug got recalled too. Yeah. And I had the same thing. Detached feeling, numbness.
Numbness.
feeling like I'm out of my body without being out of my body. It was very strange.
And I don't know about you, but it made me do things I would normally never do as a young man. I walked into a shopping mall. I decided this thing I was looking at cost too much. I didn't like that, so I stole it. And I walked out with it, and I didn't feel a thing. Not a tinge of fear or
Yeah,
or
it turns you
tingle.
into a psychopath.
Yeah, I felt, and when I got in my car, I became afraid of myself. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do next, and I knew I had to get off this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've gone on. Man, I went into this years ago, but I'm not going to bring up the whole thing. But the whole reason as to why I was given that was I was told that I suffer from depression, and I was like, I don't suffer from depression. I suffer from my dad being abusive,
Mm-hmm.
and so what it was that they said I had a chemical imbalance. Obviously, they had me
They
fill out
always
a
say,
questionnaire.
we all have it. We all got the chemical
Questionnaire,
imbalance.
right? This is
Yeah.
how they determine you have a chemical imbalance with a questionnaire. Right.
No blood work, nothing.
It's like, so it seems you took a quiz on MySpace, and the quiz on MySpace has determined that you have a
BuzzFeed.
chemical imbalance.
That's insane. These are our medical professionals, okay, people?
So go from the psychiatrist to the go from the psychologist to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist then declares I have a chemical imbalance based on the questionnaire, based on the recommendation also of the psychologist, and they're like, try this, just try it, for a few weeks and see how how you feel. And I'm telling the guy, I'm like, I'm not depressed.
Yeah.
I'm being abused.
Yeah.
And it was a long history of it with my dad, and it's like he's gotten better over the years, but our relationship is basically irreparable, more or less.
Sorry to hear.
And it is what it is, but the thing is that as an adult, as a kid, I was like, this is weird, right? So I took it about 2 to 3 weeks in. I started really feeling the effects kicking in. I'm in school, and because also school wouldn't even let me do it. They wouldn't let me come back unless I was doing it, unless I was on it.
That's
That's
horrifying.
Yeah, because they had declared that I was a danger to myself and others, and I needed basically a psychologist to sign off that I wasn't. And in order for the psychologist to sign off that I wasn't, I had to take the pills that the psychiatrist wanted me to take. So it was this whole
trapped.
So it was trapped into So it was like, okay. And so basically 2 to 3 weeks of doing the pills, and I start feeling that way. Start feeling like I'm not me anymore.
Yeah, you're not you.
And I stopped. So I stopped, right? And then meanwhile, I keep telling them that I'm taking the pills.
Right.
Now the thing is, the psychologist was a piece of work. He would be falling asleep during the therapy session. I did like 10 of them. I think that's how many my mom's insurance had allowed at the time. And I'd start making up stories to him as he's sleeping away. I'm sure that probably didn't help my diagnosis. But looking back, but I thought this is really weird that they're telling me chemical imbalance when they never did blood work to figure out chemical imbalance. They just went off a questionnaire.
They're paid to tell you that you have a chemical imbalance, and then they give you the exact same pills to everybody. When I moved to Chicago, I was like 26, okay? And I was still thinking, I remember back then I felt like I was still dealing with problems, and I was still an idiot about pills. Even though I had gotten myself off the Paxil, I was like, maybe I should try what's new today. And oh my God. Anyway, so I go to see a doctor, talk to him for 5 minutes. He's like, oh yeah, you're bipolar. Okay, I'm not bipolar, dude. And he's like, here's these crazy pills. They might make your skin fall off. We'll see what happens.
In the mid to late 90s, that was like the popular thing. You're bipolar.
You're bipolar. It was, for me, it was like 2007, 2008.
Oh, okay.
And so and so I was like, okay. And then I end up dating this chick later. And if she was, like a lot of ladies in Chicago, unfortunately, she was on every pill and thought she had all the same, depression, anxiety. And she was seeing the same doctor. And he told her she was bipolar, too, and put her on the same shit. I had gotten off the pills by then, and she was still on them. And so I got this very stark, reminder of where I was not that long ago when I dated her. And isn't it amazing how he was just everybody was bipolar that came to his office? Isn't that amazing? It's supposed to be a rare, maybe not even all the way real thing. But
I wonder if he was giving them all the same medication as well.
I wonder. Yeah, exactly. It's a business, guys, and they don't care about your health. And she ended up having to get off all the pills and contacted me not that long ago to let me know she was off of them. So that was good. Good for her. But yeah, man, it's a racket. Be careful, people.
Yeah. And it's not that some of the stuff doesn't help certain have a real imbalance, but the amount of them doing their due diligence on the matter, it's rare. It's rare.
That we moved so far away from just saying, hey, why don't you try these foods? Why don't you try going out, and why don't you try this, physical activity that moves your body around? Like,
even on that questionnaire, didn't even ask me about what my sleep was like, which is a huge component of mental health.
Yeah. That guy was just cranking you kids out, like, give me the give him the pills, give him the pills, give him the pills. And they've done this to a generation of young boys, especially, like moms who want to give their boys pills to make them sit still are a thing now. Hell, when I got my dog, I got him from this chick down the street. Her ex and her had broken up, and he just left the dog with her. He didn't care. I love this dog more than anything. I took him, but she had given me some pills, and she's like, "These are for him for his little pee-pee problem. Sometimes he might pee inside." And I'm like, "What are these pills? I've never heard of a dog needing a pill to not pee inside a house. You just train him to pee outside. What are you talking about?" I look up what the pills are. It's meth, dude.
Oh my!
Our country gives like crazy amounts of pills to like people, but also women are just popping pills in their meth in their dogs. And when I first got him, he was so much more hyper and shaky, and now, of course, without the meth, he's great.
What a concept.
Who would have thunk it? I poor little guy, I can't believe they were giving him meth.
Good grief.
His teeth are still there, thank God.
Let's see. Bear, I'm not sure about the pharma company that came up with the questionnaire, but I do know that what they did end up putting me on was Celexa. And that eventually I saw years later a commercial about it being recalled, and I was like, I believe it.
And have you seen recent things saying the idea that more serotonin is stored within the brain doesn't really affect happiness in any meaningful way? Like the newer things are saying it was all just a dumb theory that sold a lot of pills.
Yeah. The function of it is like degrees away from making that assumption about happiness.
Right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we make a pill that doesn't really work, sell it like it does. When it doesn't, I guess we just quietly move on to the next pill. I mean, that's crazy to me. Anyway, we ended up going up on pills from like the supernatural, but I mean, it's a serious thing. Pete, thanks for sharing that with me. I feel like we've had some very similar experiences, man, and I feel what you're saying. Man. I feel what you're laying down.
Yeah,
so I appreciate it.
It drives me up the wall when I see people that are like, trust the science, trust pharmaceuticals, trust this, trust that. And I'm like, no. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you should do your due diligence first, because they're not gonna. Their primary concern, they make it seem like it's to care about you, but largely it isn't.
Yeah.
Largely it isn't. And how many different things have to be recalled? How many different things kill people? How many things that seem innocuous and approved and safe and it's great, and then years later, it really kind of wasn't.
Yeah.
How many of that needs to happen for people to just take a step back and go, you know what? Maybe I need to reevaluate lifestyle, reevaluate sleep, reevaluate nutrition, and then do some blood work when those things fall through and things aren't working out. Even the fact, too, that all of our blood types are different, relatively speaking. And there's different things that go into the blood type as well. Yeah. So all those different factors that would even change how medication is received by you, that matters. All those, even people think like, foods, this and this and this, these are good to eat. Well, what's maybe good to eat for you is maybe going to kill someone else.
Yeah.
That's how much all this stuff that breaks down within your system can alter and have a different effect on you. And much like how we were talking about before with how fear can alter your state of consciousness, whatever goes into your body can alter also your state of consciousness and your state of physical well-being and mental well-being, because then it all gets circulated around.
Right.
So when all of that is not taken into consideration and they're just like, take the magic pill, holy crap.
Yeah, and when you take the magic pill, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're saying, I can't handle this to where I just need to mask this for a while. And I know we all use our own like ways to like mask and deal with pain. I know. I deal with it too. I have my chemicals and stuff, but you have to never lose sight of the fact that like you have the power within yourself to overcome these demons first, before turning to a pill, at least. You know what I mean? Like, you have it here. It's already in you.
Yep.
To be able to say, I'm going to deal with this problem and I'm going to fight it, instead of going to the doctors for their pill that's just going to make you numb and mask the problem. Problem's still there. Problem's still there.
And that's,
no matter how dumb you are.
And that's what fear does, triggering the stress response, triggering your whole body and every system within it to go friggin' haywire.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people nowadays are losing it left and right, because they're inundated in this state of fear, this constant mental insanity, that they're being exposed to things that, I mean, unless you're a psychopath, and most people aren't. There are some, but most people aren't.
Right.
Unless you are that way, seeing things day in and day out about the horrors of the world, all the things that you can't do a damn thing about, but you know about them. But naturally, within not just your soul, but also your mind, your mind is constantly trying to figure out problems all day long. Find patterns, figure out problems. That's how your mind is working. And then you combine that with your soul, when your heart is breaking for people that are going through something and you have empathy and sympathy for them. Put those two together and you're presented with a problem you can't solve day in, day out, 24/7. The people who are addicted to the news cycle, that's all about fear.
Oh, man. Fear, pure fear.
No wonder why they're stressed out of their mind and unhealthy.
No nice news is on the news.
They don't make money that way.
And I would think about people who didn't even have to get to take in newspapers back in the day. They did not see this much human carnage and horror, and hear about human trafficking and pedophile rings and the horrors of war in ways that we've seen, man, since like the 20th century. Like, we have seen some shit, people. The internet only, like, I mean, I swear I've seen things I wish I never saw, and it's only because of the internet. You know what I mean? And so the human mind, sometimes I wonder about, like, some days, Pete, I feel bombarded by imagery, not just and not just fear. I mean, the fear's there, but like just imagery in general, because I love imagery and I'm so visual and I'm always looking for cool imagery. But then I just feel overwhelmed because there's so much bad stuff and there's so much fear-mongering stuff. Anyway, when I think about how tender human beings really are at our core, and how much horrifying imagery we're exposed to, it just makes me wonder about us. I'm not saying that means we're going to turn into evil or anything weird like that at all. It's like our knowledge of these horrors. I mean, I do want to know the dark side of life too. It's all part of it. I know. I mean, when I write, I swear, Pete, I want to be more honest about how grim and gritty we are too as people, and how messed up some people can be. And but it's. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the imagery can be almost too intense for me sometimes, all of it. And I have to turn off the computer. I have to get outside. I got to just have my backyard for a little while. That simple human nature, whatever, because...
Yeah, you need that balance.
I can't keep getting bombarded with the constant music video of mayhem. That is the news cycle and Twitter and everything else. Sometimes you got to take a step back. And,
oh, yeah, absolutely. Balance. Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I don't watch a whole hell lot of the news. I think most of what I see is just within 5 to 10 minutes of my day, and even then, I'll see things that pop up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna believe the opposite of that.
Yeah. But if I see the news, I'm like, okay, so I know that's not it. It is going to be the opposite of what they just said. Okay, got it.
Yeah, because it's such a heavy-handed spin nowadays. that
Obvious,
when you
too.
do
Yeah.
see that spin, like, man, they are. I don't know how anyone falls for a lot of the spin, but there are obviously people that do still have that trust and faith that what they're being reported. The same thing with their food. Their food, it's in the grocery store. I mean, I have relatives that are like, it's in the grocery store, so it's good to eat.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be there if it, they wouldn't approve of it. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't safe to eat. I'm just like,
You have no idea what you're putting in your
What's it
body,
like?
buddy. I'm bad about it. I'm not good at it. I buy
Yeah.
crap.
like yeah, I mean, none of us are perfect. I think we all try as much as we can, and we all are human, so we all have our weaknesses from time to time, especially. But there's things that I'll just like draw a line to, and I'm like, nope, not having that, having that,
You got stuff.
Yeah. And
Compromise.
there's so much stuff that's happening within the world where and you made a good point there too, Zeno, about don't stress about the things you can't affect. So if you can't change certain things, if you have no power over it, really do your best to not stress about it. But that's where the manipulation and the propaganda comes in, to keep you in that state of fear, to make you feel like if you cared enough, then it would change. Right. That's when you get the activist types that are like, it's not enough to just not be that way. You have to be actively against being that way.
Right.
And it's like, what?
I have to do your little cult dance.
So being the change isn't enough anymore,
No. Yeah.
Living what you preach, and that's not enough. You have to go around and make sure that you are enforcing that others also are. It's just, again, how would you go about doing that without then immediately becoming what you hate?
Exactly. They don't care. They're too busy enjoying the group thing. I swear to God, I've got problems though, man. I do. I run from my fears sometimes, and I catch myself doing it. And I think something that I've been trying to start myself up with thinking lately, like my way of thinking on it needed to change. I need to not avoid my fears, but kind of enjoy taking them on a little bit. I mean, you're only better whenever you take them on. But I'm always like so uncomfortable about taking them on. Now it's like, but why? Like, what are my favorite characters in these great stories that I like to write do? They take them on with gusto and grace and ferocity and passion and power, and they don't lie down for fucking anybody, man. So yeah, it's in the end, it's like, take on your fears. You'll be glad you fucking did. You'll be glad.
Yeah. And where this is a more of an adult-oriented conversation, I'm gonna let Vaughn fly with the F-bombs on that, because absolutely.
For that. Yeah.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, if there are kids watching, I hope they get something out of it. Learn from us old timers.
Stay off my lawn, but learn.
Yeah. Like Billy Joel said, the good old days weren't always good, and tomorrow ain't as bad as it seems. And it's 100% true, because we can't have rose-colored glasses and thinking everything was so much better before. But then, meanwhile, if you go like year after year, right, and you go and you look through history, you're like, holy crap, how'd they survive that?
Yeah, I know.
Like every day was some like, holy, that's crazy.
Yeah, the potato famine. Jeez, I would have died. I would have been just dead. It helps me feel a little better about today. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I really did enjoy about your book, because I love books that make me start thinking about the concepts and the themes within. It's not just like junk food for the soul and for the mind.
Yeah.
It makes you start thinking about, my own moments of fear and overcoming that kind of a thing. And I mean, 10 years ago, I'd be like, I'm going to go do some kind of a YouTube type show.
Yeah.
No way. And even before that, I was a substitute teacher for about 4 years back in like 2010. And that, even as a kid, as a teenager, I would have been like, no way. I hated giving a presentation up in front of the room. I hated all that crap.
Yeah.
Just not doing it. Public speaking was like, your heart's like, oh God,
Yeah. And, worse than death. Fear worse than death.
Yeah. And then after going through art school and everything else, it was like, okay, it's not so bad. I'm getting torn a new one every other critique.
Right.
So it's, and then I figured, I'll go be a substitute teacher. And then that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And it's all these different things of me conquering my fear. And your book really
Step by
started
step.
making me think about that. And that's when I was like, what do I talk about with Vaughn tonight? I was
Yeah.
like, I want to talk about something that could tie into the paranormal too. And I was like, his book, there's a theme of fear and how it alters your perception.
Right.
And so thank you, man. It put me on a path that I really love. I think some of the best books do that.
Yeah.
If not all of the best books do that, where they start making you think, and it starts to transcend the book itself.
Great to hear that. That when hearing that makes me feel great. Makes me feel like I achieved something special that I want to with my books. To give you that experience, to make you think, to make you feel something else, and see the world a little different. So I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much for having me on. It's
No
been
problem,
amazing.
man.
Good time.
Really, really fun show tonight. And if you guys haven't checked out Terror in the Trenches, go do so. The link is in the description of the show. And while you're at it, go get that secret perk that I've got up there too on the campaign. You get that book, and I'll do a quick sketch in there for you. But it's been great having you on, Vaughn, and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys as well. Seriously, it was a tremendous experience getting to talk to you guys. You guys were wonderful too. I saw a lot of your comments in the chat as well. Thank you guys for sharing some of your stories too in the chat and communicating that. And man, oh man, really awesome, good stuff. And Vaughn, we'll do this again soon. And I wanna do a thing where I can bring you back like every month. Is that cool with you?
That sounds fun, man. I'm down.
And we could catch up on like the latest crazy stuff that's going on in the paranormal world, and have fun conversations like this.
I dig this cathartic, upside down, weird world conversations with you. So I'm always down. Let's do it.
Talk about the crazy and make us feel a little less crazy while doing it.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Soul therapy, man. Soul therapy.
Totally. These are conversations that need to be had more often. And because the worst part about all of this, and then I'll leave this at that, and then we can say goodbye. But that, I don't know if you're noticing it, but I'm definitely noticing it. I think you are too. They're not going about saying that you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't talk about this overtly, right? What they're doing is implying that these are the things you should talk about, which then makes you go, maybe I shouldn't say the other things. So they're never going to come out and be accused of actual direct censorship. They're making you self-censor,
right,
to the point that you bury what it is you feel, what it is you want to talk about, and the truth oftentimes even with it. Are you seeing any of that, or is it just me?
I see it all the time. I see a lot of people who know they're lying and full of shit, who I think would love to speak the truth and are scared to death to do so. They want to be part of the group. They want to remain. They don't want to be ostracized from the cult, the unit, or whatever. So they pontificate on Twitter and lie and pretend to be okay with things that they are not okay with. Yeah, the lying to themselves, man. And they look ridiculous when I see them doing it. I feel almost bad for them, but I'm like, your choice to live in that bubble, man, that was created for you by elite pieces of crap, by bad people. Like, you have to know better than, but if you don't, it's your choice in the end. So
letting fear dominate their life.
So I won't say his name, but there has definitely been like different comic pros I've gone back and forth with on Twitter, and I swear part of the reason that some of the more lefty ones lash out at you, like kind of unpredictably so, is because I think they live in a world of fear that does control their life, and when you are in fear, you're more likely to lash out and suddenly go off on people, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Because you're fighting this feudal battle, thinking that it'll never come from me as long as I am loud and proud about what it is that's bad. No. It'll come for you. If anything, you just put yourself on the top of the list of where to go next.
Yeah, you did. You did. You don't think you did, but you did. They got their eye on you.
Yeah. Man, oh man. Well, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the conversations tonight. Great stuff, and we'll have you back. I'll get you back on September.
Cool.
Yeah, and then October, and then November. And December.
December. Sounds good to me.
All
Thanks,
right, man.
Pete, for having
We'll
me,
talk soon. Yeah, I'll get you back for September. And everybody, take it easy. Have a wonderful night. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to be taking the day off, but I'll be back Sunday night. And I may or may not have a guest. I got to see if I can confirm it or not. If not, I'm going to just do a show with you guys. And I've got a bunch of other things to talk about with comics and whatnot, too. So either way, I'll see you guys Sunday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Vaughn, it was great. Everybody go check out Terror in the Trenches. It's in demand right now and fulfilling, right?
Yep. I pretty much caught up on all my fulfilling, so new orders are going out quick. Going out immediately. Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Man,
Over 1,600 orders.
I'll tell you this. This is how good Terror in the Trenches was. Is that I was reading it. I don't read comics digitally unless they're a submission. I despise it.
Yeah.
I was reading through it and liked it digitally.
Woo! Yeah, I did it.
So it's good. It's good. Go check it out. I'm gonna go order a printed one when we get off of this conversation now.
Sweet.
So everybody, check it out. It's a great book. I rarely say that. Anyone who knows me knows I rarely say that. I'm pretty discerning. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Lady Ribbits has got copy. Great. Awesome. Sweet. Fantastic. And everyone have a great night. See you guys Sunday. Vaughn, see you soon, bud. And I'll talk to you about scheduling for September there.
Sounds good, bud.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take it easy.